Actually, brown is the new black.
I heard orange is the new pink. I
don't
about
agree with that.
I knew you would.
Yeah.
But actually, you know who told me that?
Orange is kind
You
of
know who told me that?
Amanda.
Trish Paytas.
I believe it then.
Okay.
Right.
So what are we talking about? Oh, okay.
You didn't read the text?
Yeah, no, enlighten me.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thanks for watching. This is Essence of Medicine. Today, we're going to be talking about whether or not allergies are genetic. I'm Amanda Armagoss.
I'm Melissa Haber.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi, and we are men and women in black.
That's right.
Do you have any allergies?
Yeah,
What are you allergic to?
to stupidity.
Melissa, do you have any allergies?
Legitimate one? I actually do have an allergy. I am allergic to sulfa medications. I found out very, very young. I'd say under a year or close to it. And I had just the hive reaction all over the body, kind of a typical one. So nothing crazy, but I haven't tested it out since.
What happens if you take it?
I get hives.
Hives.
Just kind of my mom basically described it as like, I looked like I had chicken pox again.
Mhm.
Again. Are your parents allergic to that?
Only my mom is allergic to penicillin, but neither one of them are allergic to sulfa drugs.
Okay.
So what about you? Do you have any allergies?
Well, I am allergic to penicillin, but I actually, because of our red flags, I asked my doctor to remove that from my medical record, that I'm not allergic to penicillin.
The only thing I remember I have been allergic for, it was many, many years ago. It was a cat. That was just one cat that I was allergic to. Never since then and never after, and so on. And when I was around that cat, my eyes start itching, my nose start itching, and become runny nose, and so on. It was just one single cat, and never ever before and after.
Some cats have more dander. I have a cat at my mom's house that people with cat allergies aren't allergic to him.
You know, so there is definitely a genetic component to allergic reaction. But Mrs. PA, what is allergy?
The allergy, basically in layman's term, the way I describe it, is the body attacking itself due to or something that they see as a danger to itself. So like if a medication, which it is not, correct. So the body sees it as
because there are lots of dangerous things that our body react to that, and that's not called allergy. That is a normal immune response. But what makes the allergy, the allergic reaction, actually, as you described it very well, is our immune reaction to something that it shouldn't really react to that. And it comes in a different categories, in different
sensitivity
ways.
Types.
Yeah, in a different level. Our body react to them at different levels. Now, what happened, or what would be the reaction if you would take penicillin?
Well, I would get hives, but I have really sensitive skin too. Like Alyssa's noticed, if I just scratch myself, I kind of have some.
Yeah, you always look like
get like hives just from scratching. So I don't know.
Now, obviously, those pathomechanism of the allergy have been well understood. Okay, that we know how it works and what is the first response, and so on and so forth. But there's different category of reaction. It goes everywhere from just itchy nose and so on to literally your body shuts down. Anaphylactic reaction. Can you describe how an anaphylactic reaction look like, or what the clinical signs are?
Sure. Typically when we see anaphylactic shock or a reaction, we see it first in kind of the upper airways. You'll see constriction of the airways. So you can't breathe. You start to possibly swell. You start to get, a tongue.
That's the respiratory part of it. Yeah. But there is a systemic reaction to anaphylaxis.
Itching, fevers.
Your blood pressure drops to zero. Yeah. People die.
My brother is especially allergic to peanuts.
And that is what it is. Now, something as common as peanut. Now you can have an anaphylactic reaction to it. What in an anaphylactic reaction, practically your body releases lots of factors that open up your veins. We don't know completely understand, well, we understand what the steps are, but we don't understand why our body decide. We know what the steps are on the molecular base, that what goes on, but we don't understand why our body decide for anything react like a sepsis, because that is like a sepsis reaction, that our veins all open, they suck all the blood into them, then there are not much enough blood in our major vessels for our heart to pump. So our blood pressure drops
down
and we die. Literally, that one of the first reaction to sepsis or anaphylaxis, you pump them with fluid because everything pulls down in the places that so-called third spaces. And now, why would our body react to something that's not dangerous in such a dangerous way?
Well, my understanding, I guess, we have different types of cells in our body that track down what is good and what's bad. So basically, when we have a reaction, something is on top of these cells that trigger that cytokine reaction, say, hey, this is bad. So that's
not
kind of
this
like
is only bad. This is like you are going
lethal.
to die.
Right,
so you
right.
have to respond really massively to the sepsis. Like, the anaphylactic reaction in many ways, the response is very similar to sepsis reaction. And people die of sepsis too, all the time.
All the time.
That is when sepsis describes, what do you understand on the sepsis, Amanda?
Like an infection got so bad.
It is an infection that gets into your bloodstream and it's spread all over your body. And your body thinks, I'm invaded by this thing in a horrendous way. And I have to mobilize like the army and the navy and the reserve and everything. There's no more reserve left after our septic reaction. Anaphylactic is very similar to that.
How common is it for like allergies severity to get passed down? So like my brother, he's deathly allergic. How likely is it that his son will be deathly allergic to peanuts too?
There is, I'm sure. Alyssa, what do you think?
I don't know the actual research on it. Based on my thoughts, is like I believe that genetics are a powerful thing. I mean, that's how we are born, is based on our parents' genetics. So I would like to think that anything that's genetic that can get passed down would be able to get passed down. Allergies are kind of an autoimmune type of reaction, and typically autoimmune diseases or disorders are passed down pretty heavily in genetics. So I would think that allergies would be passed down pretty heavily. I'm not so sure on the specific allergy or the intensity, but I would put money on that. If a parent were to have an allergy such as your brother, his child probably will have an allergy or have a very good chance of having it. I wouldn't necessarily say peanut anaphylactic, but I would say he's at a much higher chance of that.
You rightfully said that there's a correlation between the autoimmune diseases and allergic reaction. People and we can go back and look at the statistic there. In areas that autoimmunes are higher, allergies are higher, vice versa. Now, the difference between the allergic reaction and autoimmune reaction, there are different cell lines that are responsible, different part of our immune system. Our immune system has many, many parts. One part, which is mostly in our mucosa and our skin, is responsible for allergic reaction. The other part that is more kind of B cell line and so on is more responsible for B cell, T cell.
Right.
The T cell is more, and different kind of immune globulin are responsible, but we know they go hand in hand. So what do you understand under autoimmune disease?
It's like your body is not immune to something that it should be.
Like
your body is
basically your body kills itself.
Okay.
Or attacks itself.
No, you remember we talked about the allergies? Your body reacting to something that is not really dangerous to us, is overreacting. In the autoimmune, our body reacting to our own cells, our own like molecules in a way that it shouldn't really. It's sort of like, it considers the molecule in our own body that is actually part of our own body as a foreign, and it start attacking it. But why? The
We hear-
beautiful story
yeah.
behind that. And if there are some books I can recommend, I have to get the name of the book before I can recommend it, but I'm hoping that we can put it in the comment.
There you go.
It's a beautiful detective story, that book, about how we discovered all of these things and so on and so forth. Now, there is a part in one of our chromosomes, there are multiple genes. These multiple genes, we know they shuffle around. And as a matter of fact, the name comes from their ability to shuffle around. It is like, imagine like they're the alphabet of our immune system. And our body, when we are actually in the belly of our mom, starts shuffling those things around and produce, believe it or not, almost an immune globulin, a molecule that can attach and attract and attack any random shape, almost existence in biology. Like billions and billions kind of different molecules are produced based on shuffling those few genes, few parts. Those genes get shuffled and then they read a different kind of protein. And those proteins are our immune globulins and our surface molecules and so on and so forth. So we create this series of cells that can attack anything. Guess what?
What?
98% of those, they die, those cell lines die, because when we are in the belly of our mom, we know that, that molecule attack to our hemoglobin, that attack or it's attached to our liver and so on. Our body at that phase says, anything you guys recognize now is our own things, because we are in the belly of your mom. Nothing should come here. Those are our own thing. It kills those cell lines. And that's why thymus is big in kids,
Right.
and it shrinks later on. So that is, there are few places, those cell lines, they die. So because everything there, it's our own things. Few things step through the crack, meaning that the cell line don't completely die. Now, practically, those genes are alphabet, and then they create words. The words are any random words, but only those words that they don't attach to our own cells in the belly of our mom. Those are cells that survive. Now, it's important. There's an important factor there. Did you know that people in third world countries, like in Africa, in Middle East, and so on, they have significantly lower rate of allergies and autoimmune disease?
I was actually going to bring that up.
Tell me about what you know
Really?
about that.
Well, what I know about that is what you just said. I don't really know about the reason why. I have a
This is the
theory.
reason. This is the reason, because these kids are born in an environment with lots of cells, right? And says, okay, these are not our own molecules. Everything else that comes to that has to be foreign, must not be good for us. So, like, I grew up on the street playing with dirt. My immune system said, oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. Let's strengthen those things.
Yeah.
In the further north you go, more in clean societies you go, like, oh, wash your hand, do this, do that.
Yeah.
We are depriving these kids from their immune system to actually do what it's supposed to do. So what does a bored immune system does? Try to find problem, like a bored administrator that says just looking for trouble to happen. By the way, you remember we talked about those molecules in your genetic system, HLA, they are called HLA molecules, and some other molecules, some other genes and so on that are related to that. Now, biology is like a poetry. It's beautiful. Oh, it gets so good. It's so good. I can't wait to tell you that.
Can't wait to hear.
Now, you get a set of these molecules from your dad. You get a set of these molecules from your mom. When you have the best immune system, when you get two different sets of these molecules, if they're further apart from each other, you get two set of tools. If you get the identical set of tools,
Yeah, you don't have as much to work with.
You don't have as many molecules to work with. That is why incest is bad.
Illegal.
No, legality of that is a morality thing. But biologically,
We,
you do not, generally, you don't have any sexual attraction to people, your sibling or sisters and so on. The morality came from the biology, not vice versa.
right.
Okay,
I'd
you
agree with
are
that.
not sexually attracted. As a matter of fact, they did those studies. They let a woman just smell they let 10 men work out. And then they took their t-shirt, put it in a jar, and they brought women to smell them. And then they rate them based on their attractiveness. Farther away your HLA molecules are from each other, more attracted you are to that smell. If they are very close, you're less attracted. And they did the sneaky things. They put a t-shirt of a father or a brother, they sneaked it in. All women found that disgusting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And that's why you smell of your brother and sister and father. All women are literally disgusted with the smell of their genetically relevant. We love them, but we are disgusted sexually from their smell and so on. But look at that, our biology, this is poetry, this is beautiful. It had to work out a way that you most likely get the most distant HLA molecule set, because the combination of them give you the most strongest, potent immune system. And everything in our life, survival of everything, you have more bacteria and viruses in you than your own body. You have 200,000 times more bacteria in you than you have human cells. Everything that makes you survivable is your immune system. Now, you have a stronger immune system, you're more survivable. So biology made it so that you're attracted to somebody who gives your kid the best set of HLA molecules, not your same.
Right.
Okay.
Which obviously we gotta assume doesn't happen all the time. You
Yeah.
know, some people are gonna be more similar than others without even knowing their genetics. So we can kind of go back to Amanda's question, with her brother. So we can kind of make that assumption that if you were to have a child with someone else that would have an allergy, we would be able to go down that lineage and say,
Definitely.
you have a good chance of receiving the same or a very close
Yeah.
versus someone that
Definitely
doesn't.
there is a genetic component to that, but it's way beyond that.
Well, isn't there like a gene that makes you more likely to have a food allergy?
No, there's not a single gene. Now, contrary to lots of autoimmune disease, that sometimes there is really a correlation, like HLA-27 with a certain kind of disease and so on. There is really not a one gene makes one allergy. Even it's not a like one, if you have allergy to something, you can lose the allergy. You don't have it and you can develop it, because it is truly a cell line in your immune system that attacks something. There is some ideas about fighting allergy, but
Well, I want to talk about that on a different pod called
yeah,
Reversing Allergy.
sure. But we come back to that then. But there is not a one-to-one penetration, because you have an allergy to something that your kids will have allergy
Right.
to the same thing. There's not, but there is a genetic component in the sense that how your immune system, how potent it is. Now, what they have found with this is amazing. Further north you go in Europe, more autoimmune disease and allergies you have. Further south you come where it's warm and people are more outside and they more in dirt and so on. Like many of these allergic reaction and autoimmune disease are foreign in Africa. Yeah. There is something that has been found again and again to practically reduce the allergy and autoimmune disease almost to zero.
Exposure?
Sensitization?
No, something is more actually something disgusting.
Oh no, I was going fecal transplant. That's a whole different. That's
No.
bacterial.
What is it?
Parasites.
Parasites.
There's worms like ascaris or the ringworms and so on. In play, it has been shown again and again, if as a child you have, the parasites, you're so much less likely to develop.
I feel like that makes sense.
I feel
No,
like
it
that
is,
gives me
nobody really understands.
goosebumps.
Yeah, it is disgusting
It's
when
like
worms are,
Yeah,
have you
but-
ever seen ascaris?
Yeah, not in
Um,
person.
well,
right?
Oh.
Okay, actually in high school, my friends and I did this like parasite cleanse where you take these supplements for 30 days and like you have to really restrict your diet, like no gluten, no dairy, no meat, no sugars. And my friend was sending me photos of what was coming out of her.
Yum.
Worms. Worms were coming out, and we live in the US, obviously.
Mhm.
So that to me, I'm like, seen.
Disgusting, but
Yeah.
as a child, if you have it, it's much less likely to get a,
Well, probably your body becomes stronger, right?
we don't really
That's what I was saying.
understand
What's the
that.
correlation? Because
We
worms
don't
come in and
understand.
suck out all of your,
Yeah, so I-
nutrients and stuff.
No, but that has something to do how our immune system is adjust itself,
Oh, okay.
fine tune itself.
Okay.
We don't really understand that, but we
adaptation
know
part.
that. Another thing we know, if people from north move to south or from south move to north, their autoimmune number of the rate and allergy reaction and so on, after a second and the third generation adjust to the local place. So it is way more than just genetic. It is lots of environmental factors are as well involved in that.
Well,
No.
I even read that like other places that are less strict about children, less strict about babies, they have less food allergies because here we're like, you can't feed your baby peanuts until they're a certain age. You have to kind of slowly add stuff, where these cultures feed their babies the same thing that they're eating, and then their babies don't end up having the allergies.
Let's start with something much more common, lactose intolerant, which is an allergy. That's what it is. So,
Intolerance.
It's really common in Asian countries, lactose intolerance.
so in cultures where they give babies milk, mother milk much longer, in some cultures, that is the best you can have. So kids until they're 5 and 6 years old, they drink, we look funny if it's somebody 4 years old and is going to mom and
Yeah.
start drinking milk and so on. In some cultures, that is the best you can have. That is the survival, and they do that, and they never have lactose intolerance because they get, you remember, your body sees it at the foreign, if the cultures that you get as a baby milk and then you don't get it for a long time, there is a reason for that. There are two reasons that it's extremely important. First of all, the mother cannot get pregnant while it's giving milk to the
Oh,
children, right? Lactating, right?
Yep.
So on the other side, once you are weaned, the nature don't want you to go and drink your mother's milk because the other baby has to have
Yeah.
that. So you develop lactose intolerance after, this is the natural thing.
Mhm.
You get it for a long time, but then you don't get it, and then you sort of have an aversion to that, because if the 10-year-old kid are still going to go and drink mother's milk, first of all, there will be no new children, and that baby will starve to death. So, but we mixed it all up. We go and get the milk from the supermarket. Sometimes we give it, sometimes we don't give it, and so on. But it is not unusual to get lactose intolerance, actually. But
That's why in Asian countries they have more lactose intolerance, because they don't drink as much milk.
yeah, but if you continue drinking milk, you never develop lactose intolerance.
Interesting. So, yeah, I mean, more of we could
But
probably
nature
talk
doesn't want
about
that.
intolerances versus allergies for
Because-
days.
Yeah, because in nature, you cannot just go and have a cow and start drinking cow's milk. The mother is the only source of milk, and nature doesn't want you to overstress that resource, very valuable resource. So, and that has as well something that, that the only time I know that the allergy has a physiological function. You have aversion for it, so you stay away from it, so your mom can feed the new baby.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about allergies before we sign off?
Oh, we are done?
Yes.
I haven't even started.
I know.
I
we could go
know.
forever. We may have to
I
do
can-
another one.
I-
Is
because
it
I have
the
a lot of
allergies
questions
are-
on this.
No, well, let's answer a few questions
Well,
before we
okay,
split.
that's
Okay,
fine. We just have our ranch meeting at 4.
Okay, then maybe one question.
One question. Okay, so then I guess the question I have to do involves with gluten intolerance then, because
Mhm.
that is also that we talk
That's-
about with lactose intolerance, we are seeing this very common later in life nowadays, which,
Mhm.
as you know, most allergies kind of present themselves younger.
It's very the gluten intolerance is very controversial right now. Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean, I know it as celiac disease,
Mhm.
and there's the celiac sprue. There's a couple different names for it, but
Mhm.
I say that as from personal experience. I know somebody that developed it at age 45,
Mhm.
and they were trying to ask me like, why, how,
Let me
Like, I
tell you
don't
that.
and I'm like,
Let
Yeah.
me tell you that. Now, you remember we went to the basic of it, these genes, they shuffle and they make any random shape.
Mhm.
And that's what it is, a shape. Now, let's say this is a molecule that it is actually my own molecule, or it's a molecule of a food that I eat. It's not really bad for me, it's good for me.
Mhm.
And this is the immune system molecule that would attack anything that, let's say, look like this.
Okay.
Anything that fits in would attack. Now, this and this, they don't fit exactly. Now, for some reason, there's another molecule, sometimes in life, for whatever reason, could be a metal, chromium, cadmium, something else, or something else that comes and attached to this molecule of mine, and it changed the shape a little.
Mhm.
Now, something that they wouldn't fit before, now they fit.
Hmm.
And do you know what the craziest allergy is? There is a tick disease that the tick come and bites you.
Uh-huh.
It puts something in you that changes something in your body that all of a sudden you develop allergy to red meat. That you absolutely,
What
you're
reaction? What
devastated.
type of allergy?
That
Anaphylactic or
no, it up to anaphylactic, yeah, that you develop allergy to meat. These are
Hmm.
people who love meat and then they have a tick disease and then all of a sudden they almost die if they eat meat. That's I mean, it's a detective story. So, but we
Wow.
have to stop because I think that we should continue this.
Yeah.
This is the depth of knowledge and it's a detective
I think this is
story.
good. This is everyday life type
Yeah.
of material that
And this-
people would benefit
Yeah.
from.
This was actually a top search unanswered search question.
And so that is how we have allergy to metal, because no metal molecule is big enough to literally to fit to any of our molecules, but they connect to our other proteins and then change the shape of that protein. Then we develop allergies to the combination of that molecule and metal.
Like, do you mean like
Ah.
cheap, like for instance, I'm sure you can relate to this when you
No,
sometimes
right now.
have cheap earrings in and it makes your ears swell up and
The
get
cheap,
itchy.
the cheap earrings, they have impurities, mostly cadmium,
Hmm.
chromium, and other things. Like we used to use stainless steel.
Mhm.
Nobody has allergy to stainless steel, but the
No.
way to make a stainless steel is add like some other metals to that. And then there are some impurities, those impurities that they get they practically go to our body and cause that, like, and pure titanium, I've never heard anybody having allergic reaction to pure titanium, but there used to be allergies to titanium, but it wasn't really to titanium. It was to that impurities. The other
Is that why they put titanium inside? Like if you have shoulder surgery and stuff, it's usually titanium.
it is a medically grade titanium that has very, very little, if any, impurities. Those we have allergies to certain, we know that certain metal molecules, they have affinity for proteins. Chrome, cadmium, some nickel, combination of nickel and so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
that's the one that's in the ear.
Yeah. And we know what they are, but a cheap jewelry is probably not as pure metal as
Right.
then
It's
it's
not. It
expensive.
discolors
We
real
know.
fast.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
But then the jewelry color changes
So-
too.
Yeah.
And that is how we develop allergies to metal.
Yeah. Well, thanks guys for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about how we see the world. Thanks.